So what if my dog has developed a bad habit in only a very specific area? Okay, this happens sometimes if you have some kind of a stressor or something that occurs typically in only one area, and the dog experiences whatever this is, and for whatever reason they have some kind of a negative reaction. It's sometimes running away, and we'll deal with that in another question. But other times it can be barking out, it could be whining, it could be doing various different kinds of things. But if it's only in a very specific area, how do you deal with that? Okay, well, there's a couple things we need to do. Number one is we need to understand that we don't just go to that area and leave the dog unattended or only lightly attended in those areas. This will allow the dog to continue reacting negatively, and if it's something like running away or barking out or doing something like that, if we're not watching and attending to it, it can actually create a much bigger problem, and we don't want that to happen. So we need to understand that in that specific area, for whatever reason, there's something that's developed a pattern for the dog that they're now reacting in a way that's negative as far as we're concerned. And so we want to fix it. So the first thing that we need to do is make sure, we need to ask ourselves, is the dog doing whatever this is, this problem behavior, are they doing this anywhere else? And if they are, we want to make sure that we address it in those other areas before that becomes habitual as well. Okay? If it's only in this area, then what we need to do is a couple things. Number one is we need to set aside a little bit of time specifically to train the dog in this place for this problem. Now this can happen even to dogs that have been trained, and we've had clients who have had dogs or have received dogs from us that have been trained, and they develop bad habits for one reason or another. Sometimes it could be the new environment. Sometimes it could be something that the new handlers have done that they didn't even realize they were doing just because they don't have a lot of experience with the dogs. And other times it could be because something has happened, maybe slightly traumatic to the dog in these areas, and we have to help work through those things. In any of these cases, the process for fixing it is the same. And this is what we do. Number one, we go to that area with the intent that we're going to train specifically for this problem. Now again, if your problem specifically is running away, then we're going to deal with that in another question. But if your problem is whining or barking out or any of these other things, we're going to set aside time to just go there and train for this problem to get it under control. So I'm going to start off with my 6-foot lead. I'm going to put my dog in this place, that's the problem place, and I'm going to just put him in that position, and I'm going to keep hold of my lead, but I'm going to just do something else. So if I have somebody that I can stand and talk to for a little bit, I'll stand and talk to them. If I'm there to do something, I'll maybe clip it onto my belt loop or something like that where I'm near the dog. I can have the lead accessible very quickly, but I can focus on something else, because a lot of times if you go and you stand and you just focus on the dog, they won't do it. It usually happens when you turn your attention away to something else. The dog is kind of left to its own devices for a few minutes, and then it starts to do whatever it is that's the problem behavior. So I want to kind of distract myself so that the dog doesn't feel like I'm sitting there staring at him waiting for him to do something wrong. And then when they do it, I already have the lead handy, and then I can correct and I can tell them to knock that off. Alright, so that's the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing I'm going to do is I'm not going to constantly be taking the dog back to that place, because something there is causing some kind of a stressor that's creating some kind of behavior that we don't want to happen, okay? And it really doesn't matter what that behavior is unless it's running away, and the way that we handle it is very similar, but there's a few things that we do different, so I'm going to address that in its own question. But what I want to do is I want to be able to create kind of a situation where I'm not paying too much attention to the dog. Now, once I start to do that, a lot of times the dog will stop doing that behavior when I'm right there, but if I have to step even 10 feet away, they may start the behavior up again. Okay? So there's a couple of techniques we can use to fix that. Number one is we can leave a short lead on them, whether it's a house lead or maybe just an 8-inch lead, something like that, just the handle leads that we can leave on a prong collar, and I would actually tie them out to that area. Now if they're a lead chewer, I wouldn't tie them out with a lead, I would do it with a chain. But if your dog doesn't chew leads, you could use a lead to do this. You can use our multi-purpose leads and wrap it around something and clip it into a flat collar, or you can connect it to the ball hitch of a vehicle if there's a vehicle nearby, things of that nature. Attach the dog to something so that they can't move away from their position, so they can't go into avoidance and walk away from us, and they just have a short lead on them. And then I can go do my thing, and when they have a negative reaction, I can come up, I can get the short lead, I can correct them, I can put them back in their place. If for any reason your dog begins to want to nip or bite out at your hands, go back to your 6-foot lead so that you don't have to grab it right next to them. You can grab it, you can pop, and if they have a negative reaction to your hands, make sure you look at our question on how to deal with a dog if they start to nip it or bite at your hands. Okay, but that way you can nip that problem in the bud right away. This allows you to make the progression from being near them but not paying attention, correct the problem. Even if they don't have it, go ahead and move to the second stage, because if they won't do it when you're nearby, and sometimes they won't, go ahead and move to the second stage where you use either the lead or a lightweight chain, tie them out that way, and follow the same process, okay? But you've got to set time aside for this, or just go into the normal thing that you do when they're in that area, but make sure you prepare yourself to deal with the problem while you're out there so you don't get frustrated with the dog and things of that nature. So the key is make sure that the dog is connected so it can't go into avoidance, and make sure it has something on it that you can use to correct the dog, and set the time aside, pay attention, don't allow the behavior to continue. You've got to fix it now, or the longer it continues, the harder it will be to fix. So hopefully that's helpful. If you're using this technique and it's not getting the results you want, or you're having a specific problem that arises after you're using it, let us know and we'll get a video made.